Giants talk. You got a couple of free agents. We've mentioned Suarez, Framber Valdez. The Giants are going to have to get more pitching. They've got to have – they cannot rely on guys like Beck and Tang and Wynn and, all these guys. They've got to get legitimate starters. You can probably pencil in 3 right now with Webb, Ray, and Roop. But after that, the spots are open. You got McDonald. We saw him for a little bit. But I think you got to go out and get a couple of lefties for your rotation, like you said, if you want to combat the Dodgers. Plus, they're good pitchers. And whether they're lefty or righty, better that they're lefties. But what do you think about the Giants? I think they put their money this year into pitching. I don't think they're going to be able to put too much into the offense. They might plug up a hole, but I think that's going to have to come through trades. I don't see them making too many free agent splashes when it comes to significant hitters. You got Adames, which was, your one free agent that chose you. Devers was not going to come to the Giants as a free agent. That's why they made the splash for him, because basically it was like a free agent signing, right? You got him for a big 8-year deal, and so that's your kind of big moment. So I think it's pitching that Buster has to focus in on, and I'm not talking just a couple pitchers. It looks like to me they need to remake the bullpen and they need to strengthen the starting pitching. What do you think Buster does?
I think he strengthens the starting pitching and redoes the bullpen.
Okay. He has to.
Yeah.
Come on, and you have to start there. I mean, there's a limited amount of money at some point, and it just depends how you're going to fill those spots. Look, they got a lot to do. They got a lot to do. This is going to be interesting to see how he does it.
Good starting pitching is expensive, so they're going to get one, right? You have to. If they don't, there'll be an uproar if they just roll out the same depleted, pitching staff that they had at the end of the year. So you hope it's you get one more good starter in there, and then if we're lucky as fans, they sign another one, right? So that we have 5 legitimate starters in the rotation, and then we have a backlog of Birdsong, Whisenhunt, Tang, McDonald, Beck, Wynn, all these guys that could come in.
All these 4A pitchers.
Guys that could come in and, maybe they're going to be good, but you don't want to put pressure on them and just throw them into the rotation if they're unproven. So you have them in, and whoever's the best one comes up and fills holes as needed, because you never make it through a season without injury and without missing time. So I hope that they do sign 2 legitimate starters. And then, the bullpens are kind of a crapshoot. What's going to happen, I think, is that spring training happens. They invite every Tom, Dick, and Harry that they have and have them all pitch in the spring, and then they're going to just, make a bullpen out of whoever they get. Now, they might sign Tyler Rogers back. They might, bring in some, mid-level type relievers to kind of fill out to fill it out a little bit. But I don't know how much help we're going to get on the bullpen side, just because it's hard to pay a lot of money there when it's such an unknown. Guys come and go all the time. It's just consistency of bullpen arms is pretty all over the place. So I think starting pitching, I think that's where they really need to double down on. And then, the bullpen, if they can make a couple of signings, great. But I'm not expecting too much there.
Well, they need a closer. They need a closer, and that's going to cost some money. There are a bunch of closers out there.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, and that may be where you're going to have to put some money. And you may have to put some money into a starting pitcher, and then take on a 1-year Sonny Gray.
I like that. I like a Sonny Gray. Let me ask you.
You can do that. But if you end up, with the Dominic Leones of the world, that type of middle
Yeah.
relief, it's never going to last. And, the Tom, Dick, and Harry thing, you don't want to have that as your bullpen. And I agree.
You don't want
It's easier to find them because they look for guys who can throw 98 to 100, like Peguero, and bring them in and hope that you connect with it. So that middle relief, I agree with you. Eric Miller, Lucchesi, and then you try to find another lefty out of nowhere to do it. But you need a closer. That to me is critical because Walker is not the guy.
Yeah, he's not. And this guy on the Yankees, this Camilo Doval, he sure didn't look good tonight. So they might be able to get him for cheap.
I mean, he hit the guy, and then he was going. We've seen this before. Then even on the radio, I was listening to Dave Sims and Susan Waldman.
So was I, yeah.
And the body, remember the body language. They started him with that and slumping on the mound, get him out of there, and he was up and in on whoever he hit. In that situation, I forget who he hit at that point.
Yeah, you could tell they were tired of his antics already.
Yeah. So
Philip says, he says, I don't want to hear about the Giants and the phrase too expensive. They're printing money down there. Forget about it. Yeah. Giants
they may have to spend some money here. I know they don't like to put money into pitching, but in this ballpark, and he said it, Buster said, you win with pitching and defense, and you're going to have to build the pitching staff.
Yeah.
Marty, they a couple years ago, going into the 24 offseason, Kansas City did something very interesting because they were not considered a team as, a playoff type team. They had Bobby Witt, right, Jr., and that was pretty much it. But they re-signed Cole Reagans, and then they went out and got Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, two starters that were people like, big deal. They're just kind of Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha. Those guys are 3-4s at best, right? But they propelled the Royals to the playoffs in 24. Well, maybe the Giants need to add more guys like that.
You can look, that's baseball today. If you tell me I can sign a guy, and Verlander is a great example. He went beyond expectations, but they signed him. He gave him 28 starts. He went 145 innings. So if you add it up, he went 5.2 innings per start. And we'd love to have him back. He was fabulous.
Absolutely.
And that's the way you build today. You're not building Marichal and Gaylord Perry and, and Rick Langford and 29 complete games by a pitcher. You're looking for a 5 to 6 inning pitcher. And those guys are available.
Yeah.
And you got to
going into last year, they had a lot of unknowns. You had Roop and Birdsong, and Wisenhunt was on the way, and Harrison, and you had all these guys that you had high hopes in, and a lot of those guys are gone, or your hopes are a lot less now. So they signed Verlander last year because they needed someone to come in, veteran arm, eat some innings, and he did exactly that. But this year, they're going to need somebody to eat some innings also. They're going to need some, not just eat innings. They need some guys to come in and pitch innings and pitch well. So it's not the same as last year where they need a placeholder to come in and fill innings and trying to rely on these young guys, because the young guys, most of them didn't back out. And it's a lot more questions in the air now than it was last year. So I think, the starting pitching is their biggest need.
Yeah, let's go ahead, Marty.
Hand reject the young guys yet. There's a Birdsong. I haven't seen enough of McDonald to tell you anything about him other than the 2 September starts, that were pretty good. Carson Seymour, if he can stay away from the home run ball and just, throw that sinker, he'd be better off. So I think, there's still some hope.
For sure.
Another one, it's between his ears. I mean, the arm is good, but then there's, the Rick Ankiels of the world who never ever get it back together again.
Right.
You know,
and you kind of hope that he gets it back, but you don't want to have to rely on that. And you don't want to happen what happened this year, where towards the end of the season, we had just 2 starting pitchers and then a bunch of question marks and whoever. So you want that depth, and having all that depth down there to come in is necessary.
Let me ask you guys this.
The 5th starter. You see, if you gave me 4 starters and the 5th starter was a conglomeration of everything we've talked about, I can live with that.
Me too.
4. So give me.
Who do you like on this list here that are free agents next year? Well, these are the starters. We'll just start at the top. There's Cease is going to cost you a little bit because he's only 30. You got Valdez and Suarez, Flaherty. Peralta's got a club.
I want a lefty. So
okay, so I think Suarez fits the bill there as the top guy. You could probably Shota Imanaga, club and player option. That's got to be a mutual type deal, it sounds like. I'm not high on Patrick Corbin. He seems to have been, although he bounced back a little bit this year, he's been washed for a few years.
Goodbye.
I'm just looking down this list. Nestor Cortez. I'm still thinking of that home run he gave up.
Adrian Hauser is your Waka. Adrian Hauser can come in and give you 5 innings.
Yeah. Andrew Haney could give you 4 or 5 innings, as a backup lefty, another lefty.
Here's the bullpen guy.
The bullpen guys are interesting here. Let me get to these bullpen guys here. There's a lot of names on there. Austin Gomer, he used to be with the Rockies. Isn't he another lefty?
He's a lefty, came from the Cardinals in the Arenado trade.
That's right. Yeah.
He never made it in Colorado.
Yeah. Boy, did Jordan Montgomery fall apart the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's hurt.
He's hurt too now. Yeah. All right. So let's get to where's our relievers? Hold on here. I thought we had. Let me pull this list down. Do we not have relievers on here? That's interesting. I know that Edwin Diaz with the Mets has a player option. Robert Suarez is a free agent with the Padres. I think Devin Williams may be a free agent with the Yankees.
Yeah, I like Suarez.
Well, I love Suarez. I just wonder how much he's going to cost you.
But he can pitch in this division.
True.
He can pitch in this division. I want someone who can pitch in the division.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find these free agents because that are relievers. Because let me go to relievers. Okay, here we go.
Probably so many of them.
Okay, here's the I can name a few for you. Edwin Diaz can opt out. Oh, here's a guy that might be interesting. He's almost 36, but he might be a little more reasonable. Raisel Iglesias of Atlanta. He's a proven closer. And also you got Kenley Jansen, who's older, but he only had 1 blown save this year. He had 29 saves and only blew 1.
No, you don't want it. You don't want either one of them.
Well,
you don't want to go
I don't
near.
know. The only thing I think about is, do you want a guy do you want another Mark Melancon situation where a guy wants 4 years?
Well, he was a slop pitcher. He had to throw the curveball over. He couldn't throw it over, and then he was done.
Yeah. I'm just looking at this list here.
Suarez throws 100.
Yeah. I like Suarez. I mean, Kyle Finnegan, he's been off
Too
and on.
shaky.
Yeah.
He would be. That's a good setup name.
Yeah, Phil Mayton. He's a guy that could be a setup guy.
Texas had him.
Yeah.
Cleveland had him.
Devin Williams. He's probably could be your best potential.
Yeah, maybe get him out of New York. Now that's a good pick because get him out of New York, which probably New York drove him nuts. And you get him out of New York, and he's still very effective. That's a good one. He may actually be number 1 on the list.
You've got Pagan of Cincinnati, and you have Ryan Helsley, who was awful this year, but again, another New York situation. And he didn't close for the Mets. He was an 8th inning guy. Some guys just don't know how to pitch if they're not closing, if that's what their role is.
He was very bad.
Here's your list. Yeah, he was horrible. Iglesias, Yates, he's older. Montero with Detroit, he was with Atlanta, then got traded. Kittredge, Jansen, Leclerc, wasn't he with Texas in the year they won the World Series, right?
I heard something happened to him.
Yeah. Romano was awful with the Phillies. Helsley. Pagan had a good year with Cincinnati, and pitching in that ballpark is not as friendly as pitching in Oracle. Maybe he's a guy.
How about Alvarado?
Yeah, Jose Alvarado. That's right. He got that suspension. He's club option. It's saying, okay, $9 million club option.
They're not going to pick that up.
I wouldn't think. Yeah, Mayton would be a guy that could be your 6th, 7th inning guy. Maybe 8th inning. He was not bad. Yeah, I think there's guys that on here that you can remake the bullpen with 3 or 4 of these guys.
It's like Chris Martin. He got hurt. He gets hurt though.
Oh, Martin he's good, but he's always hurt. Yeah, he's 39, I think now. But
it looks like the ages. My God, it looks like the oldest group I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's an old group. Yeah, you got Iglesias at 37. I think Jansen's like 39. Yeah. So, all right. So we're in agreement that they need to remake the bullpen and add a couple of starters.